My name's Todd Burgess, Forest, Nova Scotia. Has anyone ever seen my presentation on roads before? Oh, okay. It's going to be a little bit different. My presentation is going to be way different than what you just saw. We're more private woodlot owner services. So that's quite a bit different. However, we come from a perspective of trying to influence the broader public and people that maybe aren't like you, that have woodlots, and you're very in tune with nature, maybe you own a woodlot and you're actively managing it. We take a role of engaging the broader public, maybe trying to influence people like Sean Power from DNR, or maybe some other politicians to help have more support services for the sector. That's sort of one role. We also try to improve the image of forestry. How many people think the forestry in the general public is poor? Like forestry, yeah. Anyone? There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of loud voices out there that maybe you hear on CBC News every once in a while that forestry is bad and there's all these bad things going on. But when you actually do polling like we do, you'll understand that forestry has a really broad support in the general public in general. Now there's some things we do wrong, but there's a whole bunch of things we do right. And so I see ourselves in the role of promoting those things we do right and doing a better job of communicating that. So I'll tell you about Forest Nova Scotia first. We have about 800 paying members every year. Everyone from Christmas tree growers, maple syrup producers, silviculture contractors, private woodlot owners, but really 85% of our membership are private woodlot owners. So we see ourselves as speaking on behalf of the forest sector from the private woodlot owner perspective. Now, you're not going to see me come out to your woodlot and give you recommendations for what to do with your woodlot. There's lots of other groups that do that. You heard from some of them today. There's co-ops, there's service providers that will do that job for you. However, we are a voice of the forest sector, and actually back in 1934 when we were first established, we were considered the voice. Now there's lots of other voices in the forest sector, so there's even some people in here that says, they're not the voice of me. However, in general, that's where we hope to do is have a better, broader voice, and there's lots of room for different opinions, but that's where we see ourselves as helping the whole sector succeed. We do have a few campaigns. This was a campaign we did a couple of years ago. Wood Products Build Our Best Memories. Some of you may have seen that. We had some newspaper ads, we had some television ads, radio ads, and in general it was meant to improve the image of the forest sector. We've moved on now. So how many people have heard of the Forestry Uncut podcast? Okay, some people have, that's great. I would highly recommend you listen to this podcast. And the reason we like it, how many people actually listen to podcasts? For those who put up their hands, how many people have listened to a podcast but haven't heard this one? Okay, so podcasts are great, and there's a couple reasons for it. You get 15 to 20 minutes driving in a truck or driving to your job, and you're listening to someone talk in your head, and it's not interrupted by commercials, or it's not interrupted by different points of view and all kinds of things like that. It's an opportunity to sit and talk to someone in a truck and you're not actually there. We love this. I would highly recommend you listen to it because it gives a broad perspective of forestry in general. And our narrator, Aaron Trafford on there, actually does a very good job of telling the story of woodlot owners and people in the forest sector and kind of brings them along and people have a better understanding. Now, you may not come to the same conclusions that Aaron does. You may have different conclusions and different thoughts as you listen to it, but it tells the story, and we're going to be having a season 2. It may have a little bit of a different format, but I get calls now, Todd, can we get on your podcast? Because they just love this podcast, and it tells a great story, and it's an opportunity where we can tell all kinds of other stories. We had an Our Trees campaign program where we gave away 20,000 seedlings. Yay! But Scott, how many seedlings did you guys plant last year?
I had no clue. Several million.
Several million. I think it was 2.6 million. I gotta go with that. So 2.6 million is what Scott's program plants in a year, and we're giving away 20,000 seedlings. That is a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. Some people in the normal forestry sector say, what is 20,000 seedlings? That's nothing. But I'll tell you what it is. It's people, urban type people, or in the suburbs, they get to sign up, and they sign up for 1, 2, or 3 seedlings. And then we go to farmers markets, and we hand out those seedlings. And some of them feel like they're saving the world. They're going to plant this tree, and it's going to store it 1 ton of carbon over its lifetime in the next 50 years. Some people really feel like they're doing their part, and that's important. But what it is, it's a chance for me and other people in the sector to hand that seedling and have a conversation about forestry. And there's the benefit. When you have a one-on-one conversation, then they trust you, you trust them, you understand their objectives. It's an absolutely wonderful program. We're not perfect at it. You know, we make mistakes, and we're just a small organization as far as number of people. But this program here really connects urban-type people understanding what it's like to live in rural Nova Scotia and have trees, and the benefit it has for our environment and our economy. So this is a program I love, even though it doesn't have a lot of effect on the ground. It gives us a chance to talk to people. So this is where I'm going to talk about our road program, which is why most of you are probably waiting. It can be very expensive to manage a woodlot, and it can be complicated, as you'll hear from other people as well, how complicated that can be. But there are programs to help you offset the cost of managing a woodlot. Scott's they do tree planting and they fund for silviculture and all kinds of other programs. We actually help you with your roads. So this here is what we call a Class D road. And it's expensive to build a road like that through your woodlot. But if you want to manage your woodlot, if you want to, if there's fire risk, if maybe there's some insects, then you've got some, at some point up here, we're going to get the hemlock woolly adelgid. It's going to come to Cape Breton. And you're going to want to manage your hemlock trees. You'll need road access to get to it at some point. So we do funding for ditching, graveling, grading, brushing for woodlot owners to help them out. Now the reason there's road programs in silviculture, because when it comes to tariffs, and maybe I'll talk about tariffs here for a minute. When it comes to tariffs, there's a softwood lumber agreement between Canada and the United States that's been in place for about 30 years. Some of the tariffs that you may have been heard about, the timber objective, the timber tariffs, are really not a part of the Trump tariffs. There's a softwood lumber agreement that they believe Canada subsidizes the forest sector, and so there is a tariff for all lumber that crosses the border into the United States, except for Nova Scotia and PEI and Newfoundland. And the reason is there are so many private woodlot owners that when someone buys timber from you, a sawmill buys timber from you, it's competitive. There's different companies competing for that resource. So we are deemed to be a competitive environment and not subsidized. So it's very difficult for governments to invest in the forest sector in Nova Scotia without being seen as subsidizing lumber production. However, when you're helping to build roads to manage your woodlot, or you are investing in silviculture to help make your forest and your woodlot healthier, that's not is seen to be a subsidy, whereas other provinces don't get that benefit. They have more impacts because there's more crown land and they can influence stumpage prices. So that's a little bit about tariffs. I can answer more questions about it, but I'd rather not. Now, not everyone needs a big Class D road. Sometimes there's Class E roads, just a small road going through your woodlot. In general, Christmas tree growers don't need a big ditch road. Sometimes maple producers just need a nice little road to get through. Sometimes these roads, though, are less resilient to our changing climate, big rainstorms and windstorms and things like that. So we have a tendency to like a little bit bigger road with bigger culverts, be able to handle some of our storms that are going to be coming, and we know they're coming. We also help with bridges. Bridges can be very expensive. Has anyone put a bridge over a stream recently? Okay, there's a reason why no one has. This bridge here, I actually spoke to the woodlot owner yesterday. I said, what were your real costs for this bridge? So he had some donated timbers, and he had the contractor who built it, gave him a really good rate, but it still cost him $40,000 to build this bridge. So if you were to build a proper bridge like this, it's going to cost you $40,000 to $50,000. So we have a small program that helps you with that financing. You know, you can get up to $10,000 to help you with your bridge. So it's not going to pay for your bridge. So don't think, oh, I'm getting $10,000 from the government and Forest Nova Scotia, I can go build all kinds of bridges. Be careful. This is another Class E road. I know Sean's cringing, don't show this road. However, there are some woodlot owners that just want a very small road for the woodlot. But be careful. This is a Class E road, it's not a Class D. And the reason is, you can see that little road going through the woods up there, it doesn't have a 30-foot right-of-way. So you can see a windstorm that's going to come, that's going to tear that road. Trees are going to fall. There is a turnaround at the end there, so that's one thing we like to look for. If you're going to build a road to access your woodlot, you're going to want to have a turnaround at the end of the road. In order to be considered a Class D road, where there's the most funding, you want to be able to have a tractor trailer. You can't get in there and actually turn around. Okay? So this is some of the funding that's available. If you are approved, we're going to actually have an application process coming up in the next, I'll say, in April. I'll put it that way. So we don't actually have a contract yet, but it's coming. But in general, there's going to be some rules around the application. I would highly recommend you apply, but this is some of the funding you can get. $13 if you're building a new road per meter for a Class D road. You can get $8 a meter for a Class E road. For maintenance, you can get up to $9 a meter for existing roads. So that $3 a meter for brushing, another $3 for ditching. You can get more money for grading and gravel. So you can, different aspects of maintaining a road, you can get a little bit of help for that. And for a cross culvert, you can get up to $1,000 for a cross culvert. Now, if you're putting in a culvert over a stream, there is more money available, but you will need to make sure you employ someone who has a watercourse alteration certification. If you hire a contractor and you say watercourse alteration certification, if you say those three words and they don't know what you're talking about, do not hire them. Okay? That's very, very important. That certification tells you that they've been through a course so they know what a stream is. They know how to recognize a stream, and they know how to install a culvert in it, and they know what kind of size of culvert is required to go in there. I've been out on the road and I've seen these tiny little culverts go in this stream, and I know they're going to wash out. I know they're going to get plugged. I know it's restricting fish passage, and it's just, they just had someone in there who knew what they were doing. So if you think it's a stream at all, get someone who knows how to assess it properly and knows how to install it properly. You can get a maximum of $5,000 a year. You, of course, must maintain certain road standards. And then when you're ready, you can submit a shapefile. How many people even know what that word is? All right, a few, a third, a map. Really, that's what we need, is a good map. And if you don't know how to produce a map, go to Google Earth. zoom into your property, you can draw a line, we can deal with it. We can figure it out for you. So in April, mid-April, so coming up here very soon, you'll be able to apply. We review the applications, we prioritize them, and then when you get approved, you can go out and build your road. Now, if you've already built your road, that's okay, as long as it was recently built, basically last fall or into this spring. Although fall and springtime are great times to build roads, the best time to build it is, mid-summer, when there's not a lot of water around. But if you've gone out and spent the money and built your road recently, we're willing to help you out and evaluate your application based on that. Because we want to encourage woodlot owners to invest in their own woodlots. We don't want to encourage people to wait for government money and then go do something. We want, if you own your woodlot, I would highly recommend invest in it. Go do some treatments to it that maybe help make it a little bit more fireproof. Invest in your road, even if you don't get government funding, even if you don't get any road funding. I would recommend maintaining your roads. We may be out to inspect the road just to make sure it's up to the right standard, and other programs are coming. A couple things I can talk about. We actually manage a charity, the Nova Scotia Forestry Association. It's a charity that Forest Nova Scotia manages. So you're going to see some announcements for tuition relief for students either taking machine operator training or silviculture training or going to UMB to get forestry or going to NCFT, that kind of thing. So you're going to see some announcements coming soon there. If you're a member of Forest Nova Scotia, you'll be eligible to apply in those programs as well. We have other things coming. So if you want more information, go to the Nova Scotia website, Forest Nova Scotia website, and you're going to see all kinds of things change there. We'll actually be having a service provider list come up there in the next month or so. So members of Forest Nova Scotia will be getting a survey, wondering if they, to see if they want to be included on that list. If you're a service provider, if you buy stumpage, or if you do management plans, if you help build roads, if you're an equipment dealer, you sell equipment, then you will be able to have your name up on that website for woodlot owners to go check out where can I find a guy to buy my wood, or where can I find bird recording devices. Go see that. So we're going to be having that. Very good. Are there any questions?